Hi, welcome to another lesson of the course. We're still learning the very basics of After Effects on section number 1. So on this lesson I want to talk about layer parenting and child layers. So first let's create some new shapes. I'm going to create a red square and I'm going to create a circle. Let's make it a yellow tone. And now as you can see, if I move the square, it moves along, and if I move the ellipse, it moves along. So they are independent from each other. If I move one, the other stays still, and vice versa. So what if I want these two to move along? What if I want if when I move this square, the circle moves along with it? That's when layer parenting works. So to do that, I want this square, they both are here on the top. So I want that when I move this square, this circle moves too. So I'm going to take this shape, the circle shape, and now take a look at the timeline panel. You can see this part that says parent, and it has kind of like a spiral here and some menu. So on this menu you can take, let's rename first these two. I'm going to teach you to rename them. Just right click on them and click on rename, and you can type the name that you want. So I'm going to take the circle, and you can see here on the parent menu, you can see that here it says none, but if I open this menu, you can see both layers, the circle and the square. So I can select which layer will be the parent of this layer. I have to make After Effects know that I want this circle to be a child layer of this square, so that when this moves, it moves also. So you can see that on parent, I can select circle, of course, because I am on the circle. So if I select the square, you can see that it now shows that the square is a parent. So when I move the square, the circle moves along. So if I open, for example, the position property and create a simple animation, you can see that I don't have to animate the circle. It doesn't have any properties here. I don't have to animate the circle, but just animate the square, and all the layers that are parented to this square will be animated also. For example, if I create another shape, let's create a polygon. If I make the square a parent of this polygon, it will also move. And so it works for as many layers as I want. If I have 1,000 layers, I can parent them all to the square, and they will all move along with the square. If the square moves like this, they will move along. So this is really helpful for animation, because we don't have to animate all the other parts, but just one single part, and the rest will move along. So that's really cool. So another option to create a parenting, let's set the parent to none. Right now there are no parents and no child, just a single animation. So if I want to make this circle and the polygon a child of this square, another way to do that is to grab this spiral, which is actually a whip. You can see that I now have some sort of line. it's kind of like a leash, and if I take it to the square layer, it will become a parent. So that, of course, that's an easy way to do that, but when we have many layers, it's easier to just select the layer right here. Of course, you can play with the parenting. For example, I want to make the circle a child of the square and the polygon a child for the circle, and they will move along as well, because of course the circle is parented to this square, so if the square moves, the circle will move too. So if the polygon is a child of the circle, it will move as long as the circle moves. So you can see that parenting is really important, and it can save a lot of time when we are working on an animation. For example, let's create some sort of like a body. I will create, let's make this the head. Let's create another ellipse, which will be the body. And we will create two rectangles, which will be the arms. Let's rotate them a little. Of course, it's really basic. And I'm going to copy this. So if I have a character, for example, this is the head, the arms, and the body. If I want to animate this character, for example, making him move from this point to this point, instead of moving all the single parts from it and create keyframes for all of them, all I have to do is, for example, let's grab our body and create a keyframe where he goes from this point to this point. Right now it moves along, but if I make all of these childs of the body, you can see what I did. I grabbed the three other layers and I grabbed the whip and attached them to the body. So they are all childs of the body. Now if I hit play, they will all move along with the body. So when we are animating a character, and of course you will see that later when we create a character animation, but when we are creating a character animation, it's really important this part, because otherwise we will have to animate all parts independently. So it's so much easier when we work with layer parenting, because all we have to do is to animate one part and the other will follow. So that will make the animation to have more sense. And of course, if it doesn't matter if this is if they are a child, for example, the arms can have also a rotation animation where they go from this point to this point and they move a little. And this one will move as well. They are going to rotate, slightly rotate. So if I hit play, you can see that they are rotating, but they are also following the body, because doesn't matter what animation you create for these parts, they will always move along with the body because they are a child of this layer. So you can see that layer parenting is really important and it's really easy to accomplish. So let's jump now to another lesson.